What's up, y'all? Logan Parker, Heirloom Builders, welcoming you back to another episode on our series, Building It Better. Today, we're installing a standing seam metal roof. We're going to install solar panels on the south-facing roof that you can see right behind me. And we don't want to worry about leaks or replacing this roof for at least 30 years. We're also going to be collecting rainwater off of this roof surface, so we want our rainwater to be as clean as possible and definitely avoid the petroleum residues that you might get from asphalt shingles. I've learned a lot from the mistakes I've made over the last 20 years. And I wanted to share that wisdom with you so that you can avoid those same mistakes and build a better home. So here we go. Let's talk about roof underlayment for a minute. The purpose of roof underlayment is to provide a waterproof layer that drains water away from your wood roof framing. Typically, most underlayment installation is simply a layer of 30-pound felt paper. We go above and beyond to extend the life of the roof. It's cheap insurance. We install Grace Select, as it seals around fasteners to keep a leak-free roof. All right, so now we dive into measuring and layout. Knowing how to measure and lay out your roof is super important. After all, you don't want to stop in the middle of your project and realize you're way short of a critical material. We want to make sure that we have the same distance between the edge of roof and the first rib on one side as we have on the other side. So what we're going to do there is shift the panels and split the difference so that we have a 10-inch wide rip on the right and a 10-inch wide rip on the left. You might be thinking, hey, hold up, Logan, how do I even know when to install a metal roof? And to that I would say install roofing after your roof framing is complete, and ideally when your finished fascia and underlayment is installed like we have here. You also want to have your roof penetrations and vent flashings figured out and on site. Plumbing vents and other vents like chimney pipes can and should be cut in after you have a chance to lay out your panels so they don't land on a rib or in any other awkward spot to waterproof. So make sure that you order striations on your metal panels. It'll keep the roof looking really good and keep it from bubbling up and doing that oil canning that nobody likes to see. So will your roof require venting? That's a really important question to ask. In this case, we're spraying 8 inches of open cell spray foam insulation in the roof deck. Typically with that kind of installation, you won't need to vent the roof because it'll be all sealed up from that spray foam. However, we're using a product called Tech Shield that has an aluminum face on the bottom which reflects all the radiant heat from the roof, and that needs a 1-inch airspace. So we have to put vent baffles up in the rafter bays to create some airspace and have that breathe. Essentially, we're creating a vented roof. So we've got a vented soffit that's going to allow air to get in from the low end of this roof right down below and travel up the rafter bay through that 1-inch airspace and out the roof. If that moist air gets trapped inside of our roof framing and it gets really cold outside, that moist air is going to condense into little water droplets, and where is it going to go but rot our wood framing? So we really have to make sure that we vent this roof. If you got airspace in your roof, you got to vent it. Get that moist air out of there. We're installing spray foam in the rafter bays here. Checking for square with diagonals. And all right, so squaring up your sloped edge to the drip edge and snapping a reference line for the first panel. We're coming up 8 inches from each corner of the roof, snap a chalk line, and then from there, we're gonna do a 12, 16, 20-foot right triangle to make sure that that first panel layout is square to our drip line. We're gonna pull 16 feet from here and we're gonna pull 20 feet on a diagonal, and then wherever those cross, 16 and 20, is our point. So mark that point and then snap a line straight through that point where the 16 and the 20 intersect, and bam, you've got a square line to your drip edge, and that's the reference line that you're gonna measure your first panel to. All right, so step 3, installing drip edge flashing. In the case of standing seam metal roofing, the drip edge serves as a cleat to hold the bottom edge of your roof panel so that wind doesn't pick it up and blow it off. And it creates a waterproof transition from your metal panel straight into your gutter. So it's really important to either tuck that drip edge underneath your underlayment, or if you have to, like we do here, tape the drip edge to your roof underlayment. Nail or screw the drip edge, flashing every 8 inches in a staggered pattern, and just make sure that it goes into your sub-fascia wood framing. For this rake that goes up right here, that's going to be a square drip edge. It's going to be bent at 90 degrees because it's following the roof pitch all the way down. For the drip line down here, we have a 10 and 12 pitch on this gable roof. And so we want to bend that drip edge so that it's plumb, because we got plumb cut fascia, and the top edge is going to have that 40-degree slope for that 10 and 12. That's really important, because if you try to put a square drip edge on a pitched roof, it's going to go like this, and then what's going to happen is it's going to make a dip at the end, and it's going to pull your metal roof panels up like that. Layout is key. Spend the time up front measuring and making sure that your layout is right, and the rest of the panel installation is going to go smooth. I'll guarantee it.
This one's 6 and 15/16.
Nice.
Sweet.
So you have 2 clips within the first 8 inches of the bottom to keep that wind from picking up your roof. And then every 2 feet from there, you're going to fasten another clip. So types of flashing and where you'll need them. We're going to put a link in the description below from a manufacturer's website on particular flashing so that you can make sure you've got the right ones for your roof. This is a simple gable roof, so all that we need is drip edge and ridge cap. Your ridge cap covers the gap between both ends of your roof. And since the standing seams are 1.5 inches high, you're going to have a gap between each one of those panels. So right there, you're going to install a Z closure to provide a waterproof anchor point for that ridge cap to connect. It's going to allow moist air to escape, but it's not going to allow a lot of wind-blown rain to get up in there. To take a piece of the ridge up on top of the roof, set it on top to see how it planes in, and take a pencil and mark both sides of your ridge cap to make sure you know exactly where your ridge cap is going to land and exactly where you need to fasten those Z closures. Secure each one of these pieces of Z-bars with 2 screws in each, and make sure that you've got butyl tape to seal up the bottom edge where the Z-bar attaches to your roof panel. Now that you got your clips and your Z-bar installed, it's time to set that ridge cap. Hook one side of the ridge cap hem on the anchors, making sure that all the clips are hooked. You want to really get under there and make sure that all of the clips are hooked, because sometimes some of those can hang low and they're not doing anything. Then stretch the flashing over top of the ridge on the other side and hook it onto the other Z-bar. And then all you got to do is come back and take an 1/8 inch drill bit, drill a couple holes through the edge of the roof cap through the Z-bar and pop rivet them together. Then you've got a waterproof roof. Now, it's really important to make sure that you're not installing the leading edge of your Z-bar, your Z closure, on that chalk line, because one, that chalk line is actually on the outside of your ridge cap, and you want to actually give a little bit of expansion and contraction room and a little bit of room, because remember, you're hooking one side of the ridge cap and you're stretching it over the ridge and hooking it onto the other, so you have to have enough wiggle room to be able to get it over and hook back. So you don't want to make it too tight where it's just no way you can stretch that ridge cap to hook your other side of the Z-bar. And don't forget to overlap each one of those pieces of ridge cap 4 inches and caulk the joints. So this is where it starts to get pretty weird, but it makes your roof super awesome. At each peak on either end of your roof, what we're gonna do is we're gonna run Z-bar horizontally like all the rest of them, and then we're gonna run up the roof, back down the peak, and back to the last rib. That Z-bar's gotta go all the way to the very edge of the roof so that there's no metal panel break at the ridge. So fold and miter the ends of the ridge cap around that Z closure on the ends for a nice waterproof look. The devil's in the details, that's what they say. And then just like that, you're done. Pat yourself on the back, baby. You just learned how to build a better roof that'll last a lifetime and save a bunch of money doing it. How are we gonna get safely down from this roof once we put the ridge cap on? It seems really sketchy. Check it out. Making a jig down there. Mike's gonna cut a gusset to tie 2 2x4 to span the ridge, so we'll have a safe place to stand on this 10 and 12 super C pitch and be safe and actually not be fumbling around with drills and drivers and screws and clips and all that. So here we go. For more information on other flashing and installation details, follow the link in the description below and hit us up with comments and questions. I hope you found this video helpful. Smash that like button if you got something out of it, and consider subscribing to our channel for more tips on how to build a better home. Stay tuned for our next episode, where we'll be installing hardy plank siding and trim. Until then, good luck and peace out.